Zandile, welcome to studio.
Thank you, Jose.
Brands are an integral part of a business or a company. Are we paying enough attention to branding?
So I like the definition by David Acker about brands. He says, a brand is a badge of origin. It is a promise of performance. It is a means of differentiation. It either exists in the mind or not. And I like the last part, existing in the mind or not. So we need to question, are we existing in the minds of our consumers?
We've seen some iconic brands of yesterday not existing today anymore. How does a brand make sure that it has a longevity?
Often what happens in companies is that the purpose, the vision gets lost in the process. And so, we forget about why we exist and we fight fights that we shouldn't be fighting. And then we wonder why we're not relevant anymore.
In an organization, who would typically become the custodian of that brand to make sure that it stays focused?
It's the job of everybody in an organization to make sure that the purpose is lived by everyone. Again, let me give you a retail example. It's one thing for me in retail to come up with a great idea of this is what we stand for from a marketing point of view. But if that doesn't stick with our staff on the floor, then we're not going to meet the brand promise. We're not going to do what we say, what we promise. I used Walmart as an example. Save money, live better is something that has to be lived by everybody. Everybody must say, right, what is my role in saving my customers money so that they can live better? It doesn't matter whether you're in IT, whether you're in marketing, it's everybody's job to live the brand essence.
You spoke earlier about how brands are also owned by the customers and the end users out there. How does a company make sure that it makes that happen?
I guess it's about connection. Often what happens is that we live in our boardrooms, we come up with these great marketing campaigns and strategies, but we don't do enough time to engage with our customers. And sometimes we come up with ideas, and then we wonder why our customers reject them. So I used to work at Unilever a couple of years ago, and I remember at one point we changed the formulation of Sunlight Laundry Bar. We came up with a nice perfume, but the customers rejected it. We had to go back to the original formulation. And I can think of many examples where, we come up with these new ideas. And I think Coke was one such example. I think it was Coke Vanilla, but the customers say, but this is not what we want.
Coming back to South Africa and African context, we've had a number of iconic brands, but with the influx of foreign and multinational companies creating more competition, are we at risk of losing some of our iconic brands?
Let's use my previous employer, Unilever. Unilever a couple of years ago went through a strategy called Path to Growth strategy. And essentially the idea was Unilever had 1,500 brands at the time. And the new CEO said, look, we've got too many brands. Why don't we cut them down to 400 brands? Because brands are like children. It's great to have them, but it's expensive to look after brands. Yeah. And so certain brands, it was easy to change to the international brand name. Do you remember a brand called Ego?
Yes.
So Ego became X, because at the time Unilever used to have three names for the same brand. So it was Ego here in South Africa, it was X, I think in the UK it was Lynx elsewhere. And then at some point we thought, should we do the same, should we do the same thing to Shield? Again, it was Shield here, it was Rexona in another country, but we could never really change the name Shield because the name Shield was very strong here. And so it is still Shield today.
Is there an emotional connection?
Correct. There was an emotional connection to the name Shield, and we felt that we couldn't. And I guess the same is true for a lot of other brands in South Africa. So a lot of people ask me, because I work for a Walmart company, to say, will Massmart chains one day change to, will Game be changed to Walmart one day? Can Macro ever be Walmart? I'm not so sure. I think it's something that you can't just do overnight. You really need to make sure that consumers are ready to make such a move. And I think the same is true for a lot of other brands. Apps are becoming Barclays one day. Will that happen? I think they're in the process of doing that, but you can see it's a phased approach. It's something that can be done, but as I said earlier on, I don't think it can be done for all brands.
Zandile, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.